If you are wondering who peaks the enemies list this week, who's at the very top of the enemies list, it's the all-time returning grand champion, the guy who puts the dick in dictator, the orange Caligula, the tangerine shitbag. Yes, folks, it's Donald Trump at the top of the enemies list once again, the all-time world champion. This weekend, Donald Trump and his administration loaded up a bunch of Venezuelans. They claim some are criminals. They have not been clear about the entire manifest. And they shipped them to a for-profit prison in El Salvador in violation of a federal court order. Response from Carolyn Leavitt was, we're not defying court orders. That order was just illegal. No, that's not how this works, Donald. That's not how this works, Carolyn. The White House doesn't get to declare an order to be illegal. It doesn't get to just like wave a magic wand and go, I like this court decision, but not that court decision. It's called the rule of law. And I know that both of you and the rest of your administration of crapulous fucking criminal oligarchic dick suckers don't understand what that means. But it means you don't get optionality when it comes to the law. Folks, this weekend, the constitutional crisis is finally broken out. This is going to go to the Supreme Court. We are in a moment of incredible national peril because of this dipshit. We are in a moment where we're about to decide as a country whether the law is a thing or if it's all about the whim and the caprice of the executive. I hope, I pray that the Roberts Court does the right thing. But that wasn't the whole thing of why Donnie's the top of the enemies list today. And I'm leading the show with this today because I've got a great interview coming up for you in a few minutes. But I'm leading the show with this today because of one thing. As I'm recording this on Monday morning, at 12:52 a.m. on Monday morning, Donald Trump truthed out, whatever that word vomit, dollar store, social media, shit show, sewage sluice website of his is called this week. A long, rambling, threatening, weird truth saying that Joe Biden's pardons were now null and void, without force or effect. He did have a lawyer tell him those words, by the way. Donald Trump did not know how to phrase that. And he unrolled all the pardons Joe Biden issued in the closing days of his administration. And Trump then promised he was going to, quote, investigate at the highest levels all the people who were pardoned. That's Adam Kinzinger. That's Liz Cheney. It's the return of the Jim Comer Palooza Hunter Biden hearings, part 97. This time it's personal. If you have not figured out that when the president just takes the Constitution into his own hands, because there is absolutely no constitutional provision whatsoever to unroll a pardon. It does not exist in the Constitution. It's not there. There is no there. There is no such word in the Constitution in the pardon power description that says, and by the way, if Donald Trump doesn't like you, he can unroll that pardon. No provision there. None. Trump says, oh, Biden didn't know what he was signing. He signed with an auto pen. There are going to be a lot of conservatives today who go out and defend this auto pen thing. I promise you, 1 billion things have been signed by Donald Trump with an auto pen. 1 billion. Maybe 1 billion. A lot. Donald Trump is the man who argued he could declassify documents by thinking in his mind he had declassified them without any paper trail or proclamation or signature or memorandum or record of memorandum of understanding or letter of record or anything like that. The auto pen is the thinnest reed of thin reeds. It's an absurdity. The idea that Donald Trump is going to use that to try to go out and launch a set of witch hunts and persecutions of people who investigated his attack on the United States Capitol the terrorist attack Donald Trump inspired on the United States Capitol, that we're going to go out and investigate those people now who look and argue whether Biden should or should not have done the pardons. There is no procedural, legal, or constitutional method by which Trump can unroll those. There is not. It doesn't exist. I wish it did. I kind of wish it did. Because you know what? Someday there'll be a Democratic president again. Maybe. If we survive this shit. And at that point, that person needs to unroll the pardons of Mike Flynn and Paul Manafort and Roger Stone and every other one of these goddamn January 6 terrorists and investigate them at the highest level, as Trump puts it. I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to go down that path necessarily in this world. But these people are lawless. They are absolutely defying the Constitution and the law right now. And the Democrats need to unfuck themselves immediately on this question. You are not dealing with rational actors or logical counterparts or interlocutors that you think you know. Okay? You are not. The people who are telling you right now that we're going to prosecute and investigate and persecute Donald Trump's enemies, that he's, as he describes them, and put them in jail, and that defies court orders and sends people to a for-profit prison in El Salvador. If you can't see what's coming at you, folks, wake the hell up. Donald Trump is, as always, on the enemies list this week. He is at the very peak, the pinnacle, the top, the nosebleed section of the enemies list. It is the gilded, and by the way, just total aside, Donald Trump sending some mook to Hobby Lobby to slap gold leaf over every possible fucking surface in the Oval Office. It's like the Saddam collection presented by Liberace Designs. Get the hell out of here. The vulgarity is just, maybe I have a different aesthetic, but the vulgarity is grotesque. Anyway, back to the more serious national point. Donald Trump is at the top of this list, and yet he still has complete control of the Republican Party. Not one of you will raise your hand. Not one of you will step up and say, the country, the right thing, the law, the Constitution, sensible order, constitutional and conservative interpretation of the executive's power. Not one of them will step up and say, you know what, I'm willing to get a primary for this. Not one of them will step up and say, you know what, I'm willing to say I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm going to block anything he wants to push forward. Not one of them. While Donald Trump is at that pinnacle of the enemies list, he's held up every minute of every day by the Lindsey Grahams and the Susan Collinses and the Lisa Murkowskis and the John Thunes and the Jim Langfords. Because look, I write off the morons, the Mike Lees, the Ted Cruzes, the Cindy Hyde Smiths, the Tommy Tubervilles. They're just performative shit show assholes. They mean nothing. Ted Cruz will be forgotten in history. But these other people who knew better and know better and behind closed doors are wailing and moaning and screaming at people, they're still publicly with this guy, no matter what he does, no matter how grotesque, no matter how close he takes us to the edge of lawlessness. And I'm sure when people start getting rounded up, Tim Snyder said it today. He goes, if you think that by declaring somebody a terrorist and shipping them down to a foreign for-profit prison is going to stop with a bunch of Venezuelan guys, it's not. It's going to go further. That's why Donald Trump will always be the reigning champion of the enemies list.